Good afternoon. My name is Tim. Many of you have actually been in, I see three back-to-back sessions with me. For those of you that haven't heard this, when we designed this tech summit, we looked at the maps and we said for those people that had to do back-to-back sessions, or in my case, back-to-back-to-back sessions, we'll put all the rooms next to each other. Guess what? 451 and 450 are not next to each other. So I'm running back and forth, so I apologize. I was just trying to get all my demos set up and prepared. Like I said, my name is Tim. I'm from the Midwest. For those of you that didn't hear this before, born and raised in Minneapolis, went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, have worked around this area my whole career. Did spend some time outside of this particular area. I am in the engineering team for our hybrid management division. Our hybrid management and hybrid division builds things like Azure Stack. We build things like System Center. We build things like OMS. We build things like PowerShell. We build the Azure portal. We build Azure PowerShell. So we take what the Azure team builds from an API perspective and we put all the management around it. We also build this thing called OMS. So I, from a day-to-day perspective, spend my life around OMS. I'm on a team that's called CAT, Customer Architectures and Technologies. Essentially, we're the team within engineering that gets called in for first, biggest, and broken. We're what you used to know, for those of you that have ever been involved with things that used to be known as TAPs, that's our team. Right? So if you've ever been a TAP or you're in CCEP, that's our team. So we are the engineering arm that goes out and tests. Does this crap really work? Right? We're also the team, like I said, that gets called into first, biggest, and broken. So if you've ever done something that's, we've never done anything like this before. We've never deployed it in this way. Yeah, theoretically it would work, but nobody's ever tried it. So let's go give it a go, right? We're surprised every day within engineering on the things that our customers come up with in these just ingenuitive ways to use their products that we've never thought of before. And so when we have customers that need our help from an engineering perspective, you don't pay for us. You also don't just get to ask for us and we come. There's kind of a quid pro quo about what do we get and what do you get. But that's what our team is for. We also do get involved in broken. We hopefully don't go there, but when it goes really bad and somebody calls Satya because System Center's down, our team gets a call, right? And we put people on site. These are some of the best people on earth, in my opinion, my biased opinion, and we get to go out and do this. But my particular focus area is OMS, so I help our team identify the projects that we do all over the world. I think I got to go to like 22 countries last year, which sounds really, really bad, but I kind of chain them together, so it's not quite as bad as it sounds. I do have 2 kids based in Minneapolis. I do have to say one thank you. I appreciate you warming it up. It's a little colder in Minneapolis. No other speaker will probably tell you that, except other than my other System Center speaker I had before, who's from Alberta, right? So a little bit about this session. This is taking your management and security to the cloud. The session I gave earlier and this session are out of order, okay? This session should have come first. This is the overview and why we built it. This is the intention. This is what in the world is Microsoft doing. You got this System Center thing. Where are you? What are you doing, right? Who moved my cheese, right? So that's what this particular session is about. Make sense? All right. For once, I don't have any other sessions after this, so ask all the questions you want. But I am between you and alcohol. So choose wisely. Now, I'm going to the same place you are, so I might say, stop, let's go, right? Okay, there's going to be food down there at the Ask the Experts session. I don't remember exactly what time it is. Somebody probably can tell me where and when it is. I'll follow one of you all, right? So that's what we got. So, should we get started? I have to have the given slide with a little cloud on it, right? Now, I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not good at being a marketing guy, right? And so let me tell you a little bit about what we did, right? So we have a very significant business in System Center. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of customers. But we could see very clearly that the cloud was coming to the management world, and it was going to change how we did this dramatically. I mean, it was going to flip it entirely on its head. Anybody that's ever used anything like AppDynamics or New Relic can tell you this, it's one of those cliche, but this changes everything, right? No longer are customers spending time deploying and maintaining the management tools. For those of you that have been in my last 2 sessions, let me tell you what the point of OMS is. I want to take you out of the business of managing your management tools. That's simple. I don't want to take you out of the business of managing. I don't want to take you out of the business of managing your apps. but I want you to take you out of the business of upgrading System Center ever again. Okay? Now, I can't do that today. I can't. I've got probably a decade and a half, in the case of SCCM, almost 2 decades of mature development on those products. There is no way I can replace them. I cannot replace them. If you are using System Center today, I am not telling you to move. In fact, I'm telling you you'd be nuts, right? I do not have a platform that can go out there and give you what you have in SCCM. I can't. There's no way. I can't do 20 years of development in 18 months. Can't do it. I don't care how many resources you get it. We'd screw it up royally in trying to do it in that kind of speed, okay? But what we can do and what we're focused on within OMS is what are the things that within System Center that we can't do? For example, how many people like your SCOM data warehouse? Yeah, exactly. How many people have SCOM? Okay, all right, that's good. How many people have tried OMS? Okay, a few, right? How many people like reporting in your data warehouse? How many people like grooming your data warehouse? How many people have run ACS? Okay, for those of you that haven't run ACS, it was a good idea, but not a good idea, right? So this concept of being able to look at just huge amounts of data and do reporting on it, it's not what a data warehouse is for. Maybe we can do that for things that we can make a star schema out of and have structured data, but operational data doesn't have that. And I have a computer science degree, as I assume many of you do. And if you would have gone to your computer science professor and said, hey, I've got this really neat idea. I'm going to try to build an at-scale tool that Fortune 50s are going to use to do reporting of unstructured data in a relational database system. Your computer science professor would have laughed at you and failed you. Okay? They would have failed you. But that's what we did. That's what SCOM did. Now, did we do it pretty well given that? Yeah, we did okay. But these are the kind of gaps that we're trying to fill in this world. And so we went off in OMS to try to begin to build a simple management tool set that allows you to take advantage of what you have today and give you a path to the cloud and a way to manage in the cloud. And so for those of you that are starting to build resources in Azure, okay, AWS, okay, GCE, wow, okay. I expected to see more hands for GCE. You don't want to bring along your traditional management tools to those environments. That's kind of nuts. Even System Center, right? Do we support it? Yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out. Why in the world would I do all this work to move this thing to the cloud where I'm trying to take advantage of not having to manage some stuff so I can focus on my app, especially if I'm starting to do PaaS, and then rebuild my old management tools? It just doesn't make any sense. So again, we're focused there. But in the same context, if you have System Center, I don't just want to break this, right? I don't want to say, oh, you've got your silo of management on-prem, you've got your silo of management in AWS, you've got your silo of management in Azure, you've got your VMware stuff. It doesn't make any sense. But that's kind of what we have today. So OMS is also intended to be that glue, to be able to pull all of those pieces together. So as we thought about OMS, again, and when we went off to try to start to build this thing, those were kind of our intentions. Go and give you, as IT folks, a path to the cloud. Go and start to augment what you have today so that we can bring you tools that we otherwise can't bring you. The last thing that we did, and for those of you that have been in my previous 2 sessions, I'm sorry, I make the same analogies, I tell the same jokes, right? It's part of being a speaker, right? You learn to use what hopefully people laugh at, right? But one of the things that happens, right, whether you're in Azure or AWS or GCE or you've got a service provider or whatever, the business goes, forget these IT guys, right? They're too slow to get me VMs. It costs too much. I don't want this thing. So I'm going to go off and spin up this particular environment. We used to call these access databases, by the way. But now they go off and they spin up these VMs or this thing, and all of a sudden you find out, because you get a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning, hey, we deployed this thing in AWS and it's broke. Can you fix it? I didn't even know we were in AWS. What the heck is this? Right? And so we've done some things, right? We said, okay, we got to make this a little bit better. We've got to, now let's go negotiate it with AWS and Microsoft and get an enterprise agreement or their version of the same thing in order so we get some discounts and those kinds of things. But they still go off and build these things. and you don't bring along the standard operating procedures and operational tools that you've built, right? Like, hey, you deploy a VM, you need to back it up. Because when you blow it up, you need to restore it. And don't call me if you don't. And so we're building this concept of providing a way so that, hey, guess what? We've got management. We've got Fabric as a platform. We have management as a platform. When they create that VM, you can set policy that even if you don't have admin rights, you can back it up, you can configure it, and you can set it to your IT policy, and you can stay out of their way. They can still pay for their own stuff, but they still get your IT services on top of that. We wanted to give you a way to do that. So that's why we built OMS. Now are we good? Let's go get beer? No, I'm just kidding, right? But a lot of folks get a little bit confused about why we did that. So a little bit about kind of what is it, right? I asked you how many we're using, but the first thing that we had to go off and do this is that we said no longer is this, by the way, take all the pictures you want, all these slides are available, right? So you can go off and drag them. And I've actually hidden a bunch of slides that are good references for you guys later, but they're all available. We realized that you weren't just running on Hyper-V, right? Wait a minute, no, that's wrong, right? Nobody in the Midwest runs VMware, right? That's how that works? No. Raise your hand if you don't run VMware. Thank you. Huh? Okay, thank you, we appreciate that. You're in the minority. But those same people that run VMware, I bet you can't raise your hand to tell me you don't also run Hyper-V. There's very few of you as well. Actually, it's the same number, ironically, that raised your hand. And you probably also have some AWS, whether you like it or not. And you probably have some Azure, whether you like it or not. And so our management tools had to support that hybrid. And so we built it that way to start with. So any tool, anytime, we like to say any cloud, any device, anytime. That's kind of the thing we like to trot around. And then we say, well, with the exception of, right? But that's kind of the model that we're after. So, all right. I want to make the majority of this session demos. That's all I want to do, because I want to show you what we're trying to do. For those of you that have seen my other sessions, I'm going to use essentially the same demo setup, but I'm going to try to do them in a little bit more detail. They're slightly different. Please interrupt me and ask questions as I go through. So the first thing is, when you go to set up a management tool, it's a project, right? You got to buy servers. You probably got to go buy Convergent, right? Is there any Convergent guys in the room? Convergence? Sorry, said it wrong, right? They're one of our favorite partners in the whole world. They're based here out of Chicago. But you need some help to deploy this thing. You got to buy some servers. You got to provision some storage. We wanted you to be able to get going like that with your management tools. So that's what we did. So first demo here. I went to, Microsoft.com/OMS, okay? I scroll down on this page. For those of you that have internet connection, you're welcome to go walk along with me, okay? I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to hit try for free. Yes, I did say for free and Microsoft in the same sentence, right? Anybody want to take a survey? Okay, all right, exactly. We do this two ways. You want to see it in action? Right? So we're going to dump you into an experience center that has all the data in it? Or do you want to have us call you and get you and walk you through a demo? Click, click, click. Nope, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to activate my free account. You hit get started. I will provision you a workspace. It'll be ready in about 2 minutes. You're ready to go. You can start pumping data into it. Now you say, well, wait a minute. I need to scale this thing. I need to blah, 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 whatever it happens to be. Trust me. You can't push more data than we can handle. Promise. I take every Titanfall gamer in the world. I monitor their Xbox, their internet connection, and every other asset that they're running simultaneously, real time, down to latency, ping rate, which buttons they push on their controller. And let me tell you, a lot of your kids and you play a lot of Titanfall, okay? And that's only a fraction of what we can do. Right? And so what you would get dumped into is, I think I have it right here. Whoops. I have it. I hate it when I do this. All right, we're just going to start over. I get dumped into this little portal that starts to show me just this basic dashboard, right? And so I now have a management environment. And I take this particular management environment and I just start connecting up solutions and data sources. So this really comes down to, you've got a management framework now, you've got a management platform, if you will, for those of you that were in my previous session. Again, these are out of order, I don't know why we did this. But now I just need to start dumping data into it and start analyzing that data. And so when I start to think about that, is that I start to click in here to settings, and I start to say, well, what solutions do I want? I start to say what data sources. I can connect machines directly. I can connect Linux machines. We use FluentD. I can connect directly to Azure Storage. I can connect to Windows Telemetry. I can connect directly to the Azure management fabric, right? What we call MDM and Shoebox internally. I can also connect directly to SCOM, right? You can go into your SCOM environment. There's a little page when you go down to admin for System Center. It used to be called System Center Advisor, for those of you that remember those days, right? We click, we walk through a little setup, we can start pumping data up into this environment. You didn't buy a thing, okay? Now, okay, great, I started to get some data in here. The next thing that I need to do is I need to start configuring what this crazy environment starts to look like. So, I have a particular view that I need to build. And so, you know what? This view doesn't really have the data I need, although all of this stuff is backed by search, right? So if I click on one of these, it just dumps off here. It starts to go and run a search. Notice I'm just doing type equals perf. Literally, I'm going to return every performance data object that I have in this entire environment. We'll see how smart this was, right, over this internet connection that's been crushed all day. And I'm going to return a couple million records, right? So essentially, the whole thing is built off this particular search world. Now, that wasn't a smart idea, apparently. I'm going to go back here to this environment, hopefully. But I don't like the way this thing looks. I need to be able to build this thing to actually show it. Because remember, Tim told me he's going to give me a management platform, but I need to go take what I'm good at as a business. Sorry, recording people, I tapped it. What I'm good at as a business, and I need to start to put my discipline or domain knowledge into this environment. I know what works and what doesn't. Microsoft doesn't. We don't know what your app is. Frankly, we don't want to know. Right? We're in the business of building platforms. Right? That's what Microsoft does. We're building you a management platform. So now I want to go in to edit this thing because I want to make this thing look a certain way. So I literally can go in here, start to select this view. I can change the color. I can change what it looks like. I can change what URL it will click to. I can change the content that's there. I can change what the search looks like. I select over here. I tell what color turns red, yellow, green. I tell it what search and what query it wants to run, what it dumps off to. How many people have built SCOM dashboards? Come on. Yeah, why didn't you do that? Because it sucked, right? Hopefully you were in my System Center section before. It's a whole lot easier in 2016, but I can tell you, even now, it ain't this easy, right? We're making it simple. Follow the KISS principle, right? And the intent here is to be able to get you to the data that you need in order to manage and maintain your environment. Fast, right? You can get up and running on SCOM, not me, you, in under 30 minutes. 100 machines and start having data up there. Within the hour, you can start analyzing data. Frankly, you should be able to do it faster than that. I'm buffering quite a bit. I can take a fresh SCOM environment and have data in under 10. Right? It's very, very, very simple. Okay? And the whole platform has an unlimited free tier, meaning we will keep it free in perpetuity. Do we limit the amount of data you can push up there? Yes, yes, we do. Right? Do we limit what you can monitor? No, no, we do not. We simply say we will only analyze the first 500 megs of data that you push up every day. We will accept that data, but then we truncate it after 7 days. But if during that 7-day period you say, you know what, Microsoft, I want to buy this thing. I want to either pay per node or per gigabyte. There's some idiosyncrasies there about how you want to pay and what you get. And we can also, of course, work on your enterprise agreement outside of my realm of expertise. But the point is, all of a sudden, we'll just go back from those 7 days and start reanalyzing all that data and make it show up. We also get to the point, one of the data sources that we have, I tried to show you performance. We do near real-time performance monitoring. In an HTML5 interface, I can literally start to write you a graph that watches the CPU goes like this. You didn't deploy anything. Okay? That's first demo. Okay. By the way, ask questions away. Yeah.
Is that just from the individual servers, clients, or is that also from the other solutions like Office 365?
Yeah, so it's across solutions. And I want to be clear. You can pump up as much as you want. We're only going to analyze the first 500 meg. Meaning the data might be up there, but we will only run the search, because I'll be honest, the cost to us isn't storage. The cost to us is the compute that makes this go, that does all the indexing, that does all the searching. That's where our cost comes in, right? And so that's how we limit it in order for us to be able to run a business. Right? Okay, other questions? All right. I did list AWS. That was on my very first slide, and I said, that's correct. So what we do in the case of AWS and GCE right now is that I will put an agent in the VM, and I pump it out from the VM. So in order to look at the fabric level, I have to go against their APIs. Now, I do have a REST-based endpoint that I can take that JSON data or that log-based data and pump that out. I don't have an out-of-the-box solution yet in order to do that. Although there are 2 to 3 blog posts on the OMS blog that describe exactly how to do this. Not yet, no. That's on the list. So, but what we can do right now, so this is what we've done for other customers. Remember, our team is the kind of the ones that goes out and tries crazy things, right? So what we did, CloudWatch has an API. Wrote an automation script, looks at the CloudWatch API, takes it, packages up, throws it in JSON at our API. It's pretty simple, actually. The problem is we want to write something actually a little bit better that knows, what those data objects are, what the indexing is, so that you don't have to go and describe that and do the machine learning after the fact. But like Windows, we build Azure, so we kind of get a head start on that one, right? Right. Other questions? Okay. So I want to describe for you some of the properties, not physical, real estate, but what does a cloud management service look like? We released in 2016 66 new major capabilities in the platform with 0 deployment on your side with other than an agent update that you had to do occasionally. Inside that same time period, we had 300% growth of protected instances with no change on your perspective, 405% growth of automation jobs, and I won't keep reading these, but the point is we grew this thing and you guys didn't know it all. But we just continued to do that. The point is, when we get feedback or we want to go release the AWS management pack, you do what? Nothing. It just shows up, right? In, I think it was September, we did 300 releases to the platform in a month. I am able to I had a particular customer, can't tell you who it is, that gave us some particular feedback about how they wanted the update view to look. It was a really great piece of feedback. That's brilliant. We had it in the portal in 36 hours. Because it was just a search query, and it was a way that we needed to do a visualization. I'm like, that's brilliant. That's a really good idea. These are the kinds of things that we can do at cloud scale that don't require you to do a 6-month upgrade project, right? That's kind of the point, right? And by the way, all of that data and those changes that we got were operating against their existing SCOM environment that they did what to? Nothing, right? The service just showed up, right? And so it's that agility that we want to be able to give you. All right, so, quotes. All right, now, somebody in your environment is going to say, well, first they're going to do this, right? Do you know who this guy is? He's a security guy on your team, right? And by the way, he's right, or she, right? Hey, we're sending unknown data to a cloud service that I need you to protect. Don't take my word for it. Have your security guy go and look at the certifications that we do out in Azure and have them decide if it's something that you can support or not. What I would encourage you to do if you are looking at a cloud-based platform and you think that it's right for your company, or if you don't, that's why we continue to have System Center, right? And it's why we will continue to build on that platform. But if you think you want to go down this road, I ask you to advise your security team to have a legal and contractual-based discussion with your vendor. And that is, do you have the controls in place that you will sign to that mean that you will continue to protect my data? It isn't about whether you can pen test our data center. You pen test our data center, we're going to notice. And we will not be happy, right? And because we have to start to protect ourselves and our customers, so we need to know if you need to do that sort of thing. But we have the ability through legal frameworks to sign things like a business associates agreement for HIPAA, for if you're in those environments. If you operate inside of, for example, environments that require FedRAMP, as of last October, High JAB PPATO. I don't actually know what that means, I'll be honest. I'm not a FedRAMP guy, right? But inside of our data centers that operate in what we call MAG, which are federal-only data centers, US citizens only, we comply with what they need. Same concept if you're in the EU, right? So we have EU Model Clause, Model 29, to be able to protect your data. It's why we put data centers in Canada. It's why we put data centers in Germany. It's why we have data centers in the UK, so that you can depend on this. No more on security, right? But this is a conversation that you're likely going to have, and so I want to arm you, if you guys are trying to make this happen inside your organization, that this is where you point them. Questions on that? Okay. The last thing that I want to tell you on that particular slide, Microsoft is transforming itself into a cloud business. For those of you that missed that memo, right? If we have a data breach, it's pretty much the end of us. We take this about as seriously as you can possibly imagine, right? We can't have a data breach. We also happen to be the most attacked private entity in the world, right? It means we know a lot about how to protect it. We have red and blue teams that go out and hack our own stuff. And trust me, these guys are nasty, right? They will own you. You will get a call and say, yep, we just got you, right? And we do that so that we know before the bad guys do when we have a particular problem. And to that extent, I mean, when your security guys start to look at our stuff, we assume always that we're breached. We assume it. We assume that that level's breached so that the next level doesn't say, well, we protected it over there. It's how we design things. We assume that somebody's in there. And so we do things like, that's why we built things like, we're starting to deploy things like the Guardian service, right? That'll be coming to Azure so that no way from a Fabric level can you get there. It's why for those of the computer science graduates in the room, right? We have a microkernelized hypervisor instead of a macrokernelized hypervisor. I'll invite your computer science folks to go play on that one for a little bit and understand how and why we did that. Okay, a little bit about what we went after, okay? So when we went off and built this thing, we kind of started at the right side of this graph. Config, monitor, protect. We went off and did that because it was an area that we knew that we needed to augment inside the environment. But the point here is that, yeah, we're starting to move around this corner, right? We GA'd the security stuff over the summer. We're starting to move into the policy management. You'll start to see us get into packaging. You'll saw us do the container service that we're doing inside of OMS. This is a journey that we're on. This is a journey that we're going to continue to bring more and more tools and more capabilities. But there's no right or wrong place to start. I have all kinds of customers that tell me, hey, you go to, it's probably almost 100 customers a year. Where should I be on this cloud journey? Where should I need to be? And I'm like, where are you? I'm here. That's where you need to be, right? And so what I would invite you to do is do what's right for your business. Augment where it is that you need to be. Don't be worried about whether I'm doing it the right or wrong. Well, be worried about whether you're doing what you're doing right or wrong, but not where you are right now. But know that, look, for those of you that are students of history, I would invite you to go read a book. It's called The Big Switch. If you've never heard of this book, outstanding book, absolutely outstanding. It compares the switch of cloud services to the switch to utility-generated electricity in the early 1900s. Great thing to learn. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The cloud's coming. It will be here, faster than you imagine. Nobody knew that it would grow as fast as it could grow. We're on the front lines of this. What that means is figure out where that means you can augment your business. Not where it means the vendor says the new capability is. Figure it out what you guys need, and then make sure that you have your IT policies in place from a management perspective to start to bring that to your organization. Because you can't just go hog wild in the cloud and forget all the things that we've learned in the last 40 years of running IT. Okay, 60 years of running IT, right? Okay. All right. Okay, I am going to just go here. I'm going to try to do the majority of the rest of the time that I have here, 45 minutes on demos, okay? This will either go really, really well or really, really poorly, so I'd invite a little bit of patience. One of the things I'll apologize up front for those of you that were in my earlier session, I'm used to having 2 monitors because I have a demo script, because when you do, over the last 4 hours, I've done about 2.5 hours of demos. No, I don't have them all memorized. So I might flip back and forth a little bit as I go through this. So here we go. All right. I am going to start on automation and control, okay? And when I start on automation and control, lovely. Live demos. I forgot to refresh this page. Sorry, guys. I'm going to kill this off. All right. So automation and control is kind of the beginning of where we start, right? Automation and control is essentially PowerShell at scale, right? And what it means is that I can execute automation based on either alerts, monitoring, your ITSM system, against just about anything that I can find a command line or API against, okay? And so for those, how many of you were in my System Center session today? All right, not too many. I'm going to retell my VMware thing, sorry, right? So, I wasn't supposed to say the vendor, right? So I had a customer that was running System Center Orchestrator. People that are familiar with System Center Orchestrator? Yeah, okay. So this is the cloud version, cloud connectivity of System Center Orchestrator, and actually more accurately, SMA. So this particular customer was running automation against VMware, okay? Again, I wasn't supposed to say the vendor. Hypervisor company, sorry. Can you scratch that from the recording? But they were running the integration pack that came from Cleveron, and I always say that properly. If somebody can pronounce that, that'd be great. But essentially, they were creating VMs, and it was failing. And they were pretty certain that the failure was at the vCenter level. They were pretty certain, based on their knowledge of the hypervisor, that something was broke. And so they called up the hypervisor vendor. They had enterprise-class support with this hypervisor vendor, and they said, hey, having a problem creating VMs? Great. Tell me what you're doing. Well, I've got this thing called Microsoft System Center Orchestrator, and I'm trying to get, that's what they heard, right? They're like, well, we don't support that. Do it in vCenter. Well, it's working there. Well, then go fix it, right? It's not our thing. So this customer went off out here in actually Azure Automation. How many people know that this particular hypervisor vendor has a really, really awesome PowerShell module, right? It's actually really, really awesome. And so they took that module, they downloaded it, they dumped it into a runbook, and they wrote it in Azure Automation, right? And the way that worked, obviously their VMware wasn't in Azure, right? Imagine that. And so we had this thing called a hybrid runbook worker. Hybrid runbook worker sits on in your data center. It's a pull-only service. So essentially, we assign it, you assign it to a particular subnet or area of your network. You then assign the job that it needs to run, and you say, hey, go execute this thing on this particular hybrid runbook worker. That hybrid runbook worker essentially is polling our service. It says, oh, I need to go execute this thing. It's got the modules that it needs on the box. By the way, we don't download them. You need to preload them. We are going to offer the ability to preload them for you, but from a security perspective, we wanted you to have the option that we won't just start downloading modules to this box on your network, right? We use this thing called the Azure Key Vault service, or we use this thing that's called the credential store, or the asset store, sorry, inside the service. If you use the Key Vault service, which isn't built in by default, which people say, well, why did you do it that way? Asset store came before Key Vault. We'll get there. We're going to employ Key Vault. So what the Key Vault service is it takes an actual hardware security module, what's called a Talus, and we actually store keys and passwords and things inside the hardware security module. And so my IT admin can go write this particular piece of script, but you can't see the password. It says go get it from here, store it in an encrypted store, and then authorize it down to that machine down there, and then pull it back. And if you know anything about Taluses, right, you can't get in them. 9 of the top 10 banks in the world run Taluses for their security environment. We run a Talus to run our certificate services. It's what GoDaddy runs. It's what VeriSign runs. This is the, not gold standard, this is the platinum standard in the way that you do security management. And so they went off and they executed against vCenter using that particular hypervisor vendor's PowerShell, and guess what it did? It failed. Well, when they went back and called them, they said, well, how are you executing it? My PowerShell, your PowerShell module. And so now this gives us this ability to do further automation against vendors that we didn't have automation for before because they have a PowerShell module. So let me give you an example of this. Now, in the runbook world here, I'm going to jump in. And in this particular world, how many people are familiar with the PowerShell gallery? How many people use PowerShell? All right. And only that few are familiar with the PowerShell gallery? Okay, you can ignore the rest of the session. Go learn about the PowerShell gallery. PowerShell gallery is a set of scripts that Microsoft and third-party community contributors can go and give you this full set of, hey, you need to start something in PowerShell. It's this curated gallery of template scripts. So I can, within the environment, go out and click Browse, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a DSC one. This particular automation is a platform that's built around what we call desired state configuration. I'll describe what that is in a minute. But DSC, I'm going to go out and enroll every VM that you have in your environment against what's called DSC, desired state configuration. What is that? So DSC was built into Windows Server. I think it came in 2012. How many people have ever written a script that says, always make sure IIS is installed with this version of ASP? Anybody ever tried that script? Is that an easy script? No, huh? Yeah, well, that's an easy script, right? But the reason that the PowerShell's hard is that how do you write the logic of, you can't just say, run the commandlet that says add role. What if the role's already there? What do you do with the config that was there? What happens to the machine when it does that? Well, now it needs a reboot. Well, wait, the ASP's version's there, but it's the wrong version. Well, how do I do that, especially I don't know what the state of the machine will be in? Well, in DSC, that script is about 10 lines. It says, I desire the state of this machine to be IIS installed equals yes. I desire ASP to equal yes. I desire this service to be running. I desire this daemon to be running. Oh yeah, we're bringing it to Linux as well. I think that's cool. It's not quite where we need it to be yet, but that's what the kind of things that we're going to be bringing here on the Linux side, right? But what this means that I can do is what this runbook is going to do. I'm going to schedule this runbook. So I already imported this. If I wasn't going to do this, right, it says that the gallery short is the script center. I can also go and get it from the PowerShell gallery, but I would click OK. It would import this into my environment. The interesting thing is I already have this in here, so I am going to back out, and I'm going to go back to my runbooks. Let me show you what this guy does. Where is he? Right here. So this is what we call a graphical runbook. I'm going to go into Edit so I can see the runbook. So, sorry guys, the screen resolution here is a little rough. So, I'm going to get run as connection, right? I'm going to connect to Azure. I'm going to get the subscriptions that I need within Azure. So essentially, I'm going into my Azure environment. I'm enumerating the subscriptions that I have. I'm going to set a particular subscription. I'm going to get all VMs in the resource group and all VMs in a subscription. I'm going to get single VMs. I'm going to take the full set of every VMs that I have there. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to merge all those VMs together. Does this look a lot like Orchestrator? Yeah. Guess what? This is PowerShell. How cool is that, right? So it's the same thing. You've got a pipeline. Over here, I got my asset store. I've got my full set of commandlets that I can literally just take here and drag and drop these out into the environment. So if I wanted to put another one and put it in the pipeline, I just add that visually. But to continue on with our runbook, I go through and get each VM, right? I check. I go out to my DSC service and say, is this guy registered with DSC? If not, write out to the log that says it should be registered. We should log it, right? Register Linux VM with that DSC service. By the way, we already have this in here, right? Because the Linux stuff is here. We register the VMs with the DN service. And we also have an output of, hey, this thing is stopped without DSC. What do we do in that case? So now, in your shadow IT world, where they went off and built all this crap, they went out and built all these mission-critical VMs, right? I've now enrolled them in my desired state configuration service on VMs that I don't have the admin password on. Boom, right? And what that means is that I'm doing it at the fabric level. So you asked me a question. Why don't I have AWS? Because I can't do crap like that, right? Now, we're going to get there. But on Azure, I have this concept called the VM extension. It's a really powerful thing, and it's something that we write and control, right? And so it allows me to insert DSC up under the hood because you have admin rights on the subscription because you're IT, right? No, I don't need to have access to the VM, but if you want to run in a supported environment, you have to run under our subscription. So now when they call in and say, hey, I need support, are you running under our subscriptions? You are? Great, yes, you can have support. You went off and did this on a credit card? You're on your own. No, you probably can't say that, but at least you have a better way to do it under the supported model, right? So now I've enrolled all these guys in DSC. So from there, I'm going to go back. So now I've enrolled all my environment, right? So now I have a full set of enrolled VMs. I'm going to back out here of runbooks. I'm now going to go into DSC configurations. So I've just made up a couple. I could add an IIS one. I could add an Apache one. I could add a MySQL one. I can set firewall config. I can write my own, right, of what I need from a DSC configuration. So I'm going to go into a particular configuration. Sorry, I went into the wrong section here. Back up. That's where you build the configuration. I'm going to go into a node. So I have a particular VM here. This one happens to be in Seoul. And I'm going to look here, and I'm going to see that this particular machine is compliant. I can tell that because I'm checking it quite often, you can tell, to ensure that it's in compliance. For those of you that were in my first session, I apologize. This is quite entertaining if you apply this to some of your IT friends' desktops. I suggest to you that you should put a file on their desktop that they don't have rights to and keep putting it back there no matter what they do. Right? It's really quite entertaining. You will watch, it's the great birthday trick, right? And they will not be able to figure out what in the world's going on. You can do some really, really mean things to your friends, right? I used to do a thing where we had a help desk person when I was a lot younger, right? That she kind of liked to tell us what was right and what was wrong, and we were the young admins that were doing our thing. And so we wrote a little script that would turn scroll lock, caps lock, num lock on and off, and would just run it back and forth, and she'd be typing and go, this is that kind of entertainment if you're looking for those kinds of things. It was enjoyable for a week, but let me tell you, she made life hard for us for a very long time, right? But so I can go out in each one of these particular views, and I can tell this is essentially looking at the state of a service. Whether that, in this case, I'll show you what it is, but it's saying whether that particular service is running. But I want you to notice what it says here. Configuration mode. It says apply and hit it with a hammer, right? What it means is that I want to apply this configuration, and I want to ensure that it's always that way. Cool, right? Put it back. It's not the only way we do it. We do apply once and leave it alone. We also do apply and monitor. You can also put it in a, hey, just put this out here and tell me what all is going to go on when I set this configuration state. And you get to decide by resource group, by VM, whatever it is, however it is you want to apply that. And by the way, this runs on AWS. This runs on VMware. This runs on Linux. This runs on Windows. so that you can set the configuration it is the way that you want. Cool? Yeah, I like it too. I get no, wow, man, you guys are hard. Beer? Is that what somebody said, beer? That's awesome. All right. So let me just show you very quickly what a configuration looks like, just so you understand kind of what this looks like. It's pretty simple. What I did here is this is my OMS configuration, and essentially what it is I'm making sure that a particular machine is enrolled in the OMS service, the agent is installed, and it's connected to the right environment, right? This was kind of behind the scenes, right? So first I put the DSC agent in it. Then I'm going to put the OMS agent in it. By the way, the next thing I'm going to do is put a backup thing on it. Then I'm going to back it up. Then I'm going to ensure the policy's right. Then I'm going to monitor that it's always that way. Then before it patches it, I'm going to roll it over to ASR. I'm going to patch it there and make sure the service is up before I patch it in production. And I still don't have admin rights on the box. How do you like how that works, right? Okay, so the way that this works here is it's really a pretty simple thing. I set some variables. Does this look a lot like PowerShell to anybody? Yep. So where the local path is, I'm going to down it. I'm going to get some variables out of my automation store or my asset store. I'm going to import a DSC resource. This is just desired state configuration. I'm going to say, hey, what do I want the health service to say? I'm going to say it has to be running. That's all I'm going to say. You decide, does it need to restart? Does it need to stop? Does it need to, what do I need to do this thing? And if this thing can't get it right, it's going to raise an alert so you can go get it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to download this thing. So we give you a link here. Go download the actual package. Bring it on the local box. We did it this way, right? You can absolutely download the version to your local network and do it, however it is that you want to do this. Then I'm going to make sure that that package, OMS, is present where the patch is. Essentially what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at add remove programs, right, on the Windows side. Then I'm going to run setup. I'm telling it what the workspace ID is. Notice, can you see the workspace ID? No, you can't. It's a variable because I went to the asset store. So the person that has access to the script can't see it. Right? And I can change it in one place, and every script that references that variable gets updated. Now that's cool, right? All right. Nothing? Wow. Okay. Wow, okay. All right. So that's DSC. All right. How are we doing? 27 minutes. All right. So I'm going to do update management. So when I click into update management here, and by the way, this wasn't refreshing when I went back in here before, so I'm hoping that this is going to be friendlier now. Yeah, all right, cool. Let me see if it went to here. All right, even better. So this is my dashboard for OMS, okay? Which, by the way, OMS is like saying Office. Or it's like saying System Center. We have this thing called Log Analytics. We have this thing called Backup. We have this thing called ASR, which is essentially SRM for those of you that are familiar with VMware, except you don't have to deploy it. And it's not just for VMware, right? We do VMware too. We do Hyper-V. We do physical. And so it's kind of the move your thing wherever you need it to go tool. And then we have the automation and control, and then we have security. So OMS is kind of this blanket of hybrid management. This, in Log Analytics, the portal, this is kind of the visuals. This is what we show off, right? It's kind of your interface into all this world. So if I were to click on this update management world, what it's going to dump into here, maybe, I have it here, sorry, is this view of the world. So essentially it tells me Windows computers, Linux computers, what their state is, are they missing updates, are they not? All of this is clickable. Right, so I can go in here and let's say, for example, I am going to click on this particular VM. You're going to watch me. I'm going to pull a fast roll down. You forgive me, but I don't want to refresh this page like 3 times. And so I clicked on that Linux VM here, and what I did is this returned for me a set of, and I filtered this down too much, didn't I? Let me hit this again. Oops, sorry. So notice, it's essentially just running the search, right? Did I lose connectivity? Here, hold on a second. All right, I'm going to go back here and click it. I'm going to run this guy. So it's essentially just running this search, this string right here against my environment. And what it's doing is it starts to display this information. This machine is not in a good state, right? It's missing 302 updates. This would be one of those things that you might want to stop whatever you're doing and go patch this bloody thing, right? But I want to point out a couple things. This is Linux. This is not Windows, okay? That means it could be currently connected to satellite, could be an Ubuntu VM, could be using Yum. On the Windows side, it could be connected to CM, could be connected to WSS, could be using Microsoft Update. We're reporting across all of that to tell you what your patch state is. If I want to start to ask questions of this, by the way, this is kind of the pretty view, right, of this. Age of updates day, I will tell you that it's not showing up here because they're so old, because we literally just deployed an old version to make it show up and look really, really nasty, right? I also have, this was the view that I was talking about, right? So if I scroll down, it's killing me. Okay, can you believe me for a second? Will you give me? This says average time to install the missing update there. That was the view that I was talking about for that particular customer. So on the Windows side, we have a great idea from a telemetry perspective how long it takes to install updates. So we'll tell you, on this set of updates, this is about how long we think it's going to take to install. Can't really do that on the Linux side yet, but we'll get there as well. I also just kind of want to point out, right, that these are just views on this data. This is kind of a cute view. I have a full view here that I can get an update, or if I can just go look at the raw data, right? Tells me, hey, this is a Cent7 VM, this is needed, it's coming from Opsman, this is actually the source computer ID, but I can also go back here and say, okay, I'm going to go over here to my filter pane, and I just want to filter down on critical updates. So I'm going to click critical updates, and the UI just updates, and I start to get that information back. Linux, Windows, doesn't matter, okay? Now, that's cool, right? I now have visibility across AWS, GCE, Azure, VMware, Hyper-V for my update status. Great, Tim. For those of you that have seen the commercial in the US for the security monitor, everybody seen that commercial? The bank security guy, there's a guy breaking into the bank, right? He's doing a bank robbery. The lady's on the floor, hands above her head. Anybody, nobody's seen this? Few people have seen this, okay? You're like, weren't you going to do anything? No, I'm a security monitor, right? I spent some time in the military. I won't tell you what I think that's called, right? I think I would get in trouble later, but that's not very helpful, right? And so you might want to deploy them. Yeah? Okay. Me too. I think so too. All right. So on this view back here, you'll notice, sorry, wrong browser. I got lost. Sorry. I'll just go in here. Over here on the right-hand side, I have this thing that says Manage Update Deployments. Literally, I can go build a schedule, say who I want to deploy it to, and push it out to my environment. Unfortunately, right now, it's only Windows. Linux will be coming in about the next 3 months. We're already in private preview. We're going to start to deploy that out. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about this. This is not SCCM deployment, okay? It is not that rich yet. Our point here was that we originally were trying, if we go back, what are we building in OMS? We're trying to fill gaps that we have. And one of the things that's really, really hard is to do update management in your cloud, because I don't want to deploy an update management tool in my cloud, Azure specifically, AWS, whatever it happens to be. And so this was meant to be able to do updates in Azure, you can do it in AWS as well, without having to deploy any infrastructure, right? And so there's some things that we need to do still, but I just wanted to show you this as a way that we need to go, I'm sorry, I didn't show you kind of, if I wanted to add these, just show you the UI, I name it, I select what computers I want, I tell it what time I want it to run, and I tell it how long I want that guy to run, right? So essentially I can go out and say, hey, I don't want this thing to run any longer than this. I want you to stop this. Now, whole lot of things behind the scenes here about what we're doing with Config Manager and where the update's from. Don't have time to go through today. If you want to come to Ask the Experts, I can dig into that so that we can go a little bit deeper. Correct, because Config Manager still controls the deployment. I can see the state of that machine, but I'm not going to drive an SCCM patch process, right? The two things will conflict right now. The other thing too, just an important, I appreciate you bringing that up. Important note on Config Manager specifically, we evaluate Config Manager compliance differently than we do a machine that's connected to Microsoft Update. Did you guys hear me say this earlier? For those of you that weren't here, we evaluate it based on those machines or the patches you say have to go on that machine in Config Manager, not against what we say is applicable in Microsoft Update. We're making some changes to the UI because unless you knew that, there's no way to tell that, and that was kind of one of those, guys, that's one of those things where we get to iterate real fast in the cloud and fix those kinds of things, right? But that's just kind of an important thing to know as you kind of roll through that. Yeah, so we're currently working with the ConfigMan team to, it's not as far along as I would like to tell you that it is. We're trying to figure out what's the right way to do that, right? If I think about Config Manager and I say, well, am I trying to automate clients, and so what should that look like? What should go in Intune? What should be in Config Manager? Config Manager, as most of you know, operates in the data center, but it's designed for clients. Same way the rest of the System Center family can operate on clients, but it's designed for the data center. And so we're trying to figure out what that means. We don't have a good answer. I don't know who asked that. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking. There you go. So we'd love your feedback on how you think you want us to do that. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do this demo. Okay. How many people have already seen me do this demo? Not too many. Okay. So it's because it's just a good demo, right? It's a pretty good demo? Yeah. Okay. It's a great demo. I like you, whoever said that. So this is essentially a view of, hey, look, I got woke up this morning. I got woke up because somebody told me the app server's down. Anybody ever got this phone call? All right, app server's down. I don't even know what that app server is. What do I do, right? So I'm going to tell you what I did this morning when I got this call, okay? So I went into OMS. They told me that I now know what particular machine it is that I need to go after. Uh-oh. Where is my machine I need to go after? This is not as good a demo if that machine... There he is. Okay. I know that the Tomcat is kind of the center of my app, right? And notice this is Linux. This is not Windows, right? Now I can tell you where all these things are connected to. I can tell you that there's Windows front ends that are sitting over here, and I can start to see information about that. But right now I'm just focused on this Tomcat server. I can see a little bit of information about it, right? Where is it? Its machine, TCP connections, alerts that are associated with it, updates that are applicable. All of these are clickable that will pivot me off to search. So it essentially takes this huge quantity of data, and now I start to see it in context of this server. Where this is going is you're going to be able to have this. By the way, all these dependencies that we build out here, they're built dynamically. We look at it and say, these are the things that are supposed to be connected, or these are the things that are connected, and this is how this machine is interfacing. What you're going to be able to do in the future is name this thing app123. Right? You click app123 and you tell us kind of what the center of that is, and we'll show you what all the dependencies are, and we'll build that dynamically. For those of you that have ever built, can't think of the word in SCOM. Yeah, but that's how we test them. It's the map in SCOM where you drag different resources and objects and say these things are connected together and this is my path. This is our acquisition of Bluestripe that would go off and build these things dynamically. I cannot think of a life. Huh? Yeah, well, that's what this is. But essentially, it gives all of this in context. But they told me that this particular issue happened at 5 a.m. in the morning. So what I did here is I went back in time. I changed the date and time of this view. And I said, tell me what the state of this environment was right then. So that's when we started having a problem. And so I'm going to go off and click on my change tracking. Well, look at this. Somebody added a piece of software to my environment called Backup. That wasn't an authorized change. That's kind of weird. It was never installed before. Its version is a little funky. And it doesn't have a software publisher. Huh. Well, okay. Let's start to look at performance. Okay, let's not. I see that my CPU on this bad boy is critical. It's running at 100%. Well, I bet you that's why it's failed, right? Well, okay, let me pivot over to log search. Let's start to look at the performance of this particular environment. So I'm going to go over here to favorites. I saved my searches beforehand, right? I don't want to type them. I'm going to look at the top 5 processes on that particular environment. Hopefully this returns. What this is going to show me is that essentially I have a Perl script called backup.pl that's consuming 100% of my processes, which is what that change told me. And it told me that that was when it was installed. Now, if I pivoted this over, I apologize that this doesn't come back. The internet connection in these buildings are horrific. I don't know how we're supposed to run a cloud conference and not have internet connectivity, right? But essentially, if I was able to continue my demo, what I would show you is that backup PL is showing up in my security environment, connecting to a known botnet, and it's sending data out. Uh-oh, that's bad, right? I better do something about this. Well, now I know what's wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to take some actions. Well, the first thing I'm going to do here is, let's say I've got this search. I'm going to add an alert rule. And I've got my search here. By the way, the thing that I just clicked on, I take the results of that search, I can add an alert. Great, alert. We called it backup is bad. Okay? That's just ironic, right? Right? And by the way, we generally make the search or make the joke, our backup tool isn't written in Perl, right? Right? But essentially what I'm doing here is I'm going to say if this number is ever greater than 0, I want to run this thing, and I want to look for this every 15 minutes. So now I'm going to take all this data that I've now figured out how to look at, and I'm going to ensure if this ever happens, I'm going to send you an email. Does that sound like a good idea? No, that sounds really dumb. Okay, so what am I going to do? Well, I do actually need that email. Back up again. All right? But I'm going to actually push this out to PagerDuty. So I took the webhook URL that I have in PagerDuty or in Slack or whatever it is in my particular environment. I'm going to push off some packaged JSON out to that environment so that I'm going to generate whatever it is that that particular thing wants that I need it to be directly out of my alert, mapping those objects from my search directly over that. By the way, I took this from SCOM, your existing agent, pumped it up to this environment, started running this alert against performance, against network information. You ever tried this in SCOM? Yeah, that's hard. Right? Okay, that's cool. I need to create an incident, right? My change management people, my process people tell I need to do that. How many people use this little thing called ServiceNow? Yeah, right? So guess what? We built a native connection inside of ServiceNow. I connect it to your ServiceNow environment, and I then can take and I say, okay, go off and create a work item. This is a security incident. Do I want to generate this based on a template? Security incident from event. Boom, go. That's it. Okay, great. Does everybody think that's enough? Nope, me neither. Okay, so notice I didn't click on one, right? Save the best for last, right? Well, remember how I said there was this thing called automation? Yeah, all right, time to put the hammer down. Okay, so I'm going to have a little run book. Quarantine VMs. Now, I'm not going to show you that run book, and I'm going to tell you it's a run book that has absolutely nothing in it. I did it just for a demo, right? But think about what I could do in this case, right? If I have a security incident, or let's say this is just actually a script, right? And I just want to make sure this thing never runs again. I'm going to take and I'm going to automate to ensure that I never get this phone call again. So let me back up what I got to do. I got a phone call. Somebody said it started at 5 a.m. I went and looked. I said exactly what the change was. I built an alert. I wrote some PowerShell, and I made sure it didn't happen. Now, what's the next step anybody says we think we should do? Write some DSC, right? To ensure that I proactively describe this, right? The only backup service, anything called backup, I start to build these things. What I call this is you take one little step at a time. Right? You automate the mundane to give yourself time. It's small little steps that make your environment better over time. My first IT job ever, the CIO there, I later became the chief security engineer before there were things called CISOs, right? He used to always say to me, I'd rather be wrong 100% of the time than right once. And what that meant is I'd rather always have a standard configuration. But the problem is getting to standard configuration, right? And so we give you this ability to get to these incremental sets of configuration to make your environment slowly better and better so you get more or less urgent issues and you start to just get better and better, right? So that your configuration starts to become more standardized and standardized. So that the things that are outliers start to become more obvious and obvious. All right. Cool demo? All right. We're getting a little better. Okay, all right. All right. So, change. I already kind of gave it all away. So I'm just really, all I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this UI. I literally can look across my environment, see every change to every daemon. I can describe what files I want to watch, every software I want to install, every service. I can search deeper than this, right? I start to look across my environment and say, changes by configuration type, software changes, what machines they're on, number of packages that were installed. Hey, there's that backup guy, right? Uh-oh, maybe we should click on him, figure that out, right? And so I can configure, I can look across that. To the point of, I literally can type equals configuration change and look at every configuration change in my environment over the last, what do I have for a time range? What's that look like? A day? 24 hours, right? I was able to return that. It also, since I'm starting to show, right, I can start to look at change across those daemons. What type, when did they occur? That's data that's impossible to get at, right? But I can get that right off of SCOM. I can get that right off your Fluentd agents. I can get that from Nagios. I can get that from Zabbix. I can get that from Logstash. I can get it directly from Azure. I get it anywhere you can help me put an agent, syslog, Ceph sources, directly from your Cisco ASAs. I also have a REST API. In other words, if you can figure out how to get it and you can package it into JSON, we'll take it. Okay? Yes. So the question is, can I tie that to Service Manager? Yes, I can. We are going to release, just like we did for ServiceNow, one for Service Manager. There's one, before it will come Provence and Clearwell, sorry. But today I can do it with Service Manager even without that. Literally, I take a piece of PowerShell, and instead of saying the ITSM connection, I just fire a runbook, take the object data and dump it into ServiceNow or Service Manager or vice versa. Actually, Service Manager is the easiest one of all of them because we have all the PowerShell commandlets. Generate change. Can we talk about this afterwards? Because I want to make sure I understand your question. If the data's there and I can run a search, I could probably do what you're asking. Right. And so I would just need to explore it with you to understand. You understand what we do in PowerShell. If there's an API or a way I can search against it and I have data in this system, probably. I have not done a Service Manager implementation in a long time, so I'm a little rough there. So, all right. Okay. Who wants to see security? Yeah. All right. We're starting to get you guys, right? Okay. Where am I? Where did my security portal go? Sorry, guys. I'm clicking back. All right. Here's my security portal. All right. So if you guys want to come up afterwards, I'll show you this in a resolution that actually is even reasonable. And part of it is that I redid my resolution after the screen refreshed. Actually, I'll hit refresh and see if it looks better. What do we do in security, right? So we take all of this information, right? Which, for those of you that heard me earlier in the day, I have this silo, likely in my organization, called security. And they get their security data and they do their security stuff. And then I have operations and I have my operations data. My opinion, and the opinion of most of the industry, a siloed security environment is a great way to get hackers in, right? It just doesn't work. Wouldn't it be great if I say, hey, this process, it didn't exist because I've had all this operational data and I can see the performance stuff and I see the network monitoring at the same time. I put that together by combining operational and security data at the same time. So what we do here is, it's not operations, it's not security, it's what the overlap is between the two of them. How do we do this? Well, we do this based on machine learning, right? So I get a view here, right? computers with an anti-malware assessment, network security distinct IP addresses, active issues, computers missing machine addresses, malicious IP addresses accessed. Well, maybe I'm going to click on that and see what it is. So what this means is that literally I can go out and see which IPs your particular environment is accessing and what those machines are. Well, hey, look, this is a member of the botnet keybase. How did you know that? Well, I knew that because Microsoft has this thing called the security graph. The security graph is the knowledge that we build, and our partners build, not just external, by the way, at this hyperscale level. Folks like us and Google and Amazon and these guys, we kind of work together, right? None of us wants to get hacked. It's not good for anybody, right? It's in our best interest to ensure that none of us gets hacked, right? I wish Google would play a little fairer by those rules and not do the disclosures that they do sometimes. But that is what it is. But we also look at third-party sources as well. But we essentially put this into a graph and apply it to machine learning and then enrich your data. And say, look, I have all this IP information. I can tell which direction that packet was going, and I happen to know that these are bad actors, and you need to know that information. So essentially, I'm taking this security graph. I got this information. You can see that this one in particular came out of the Windows firewall. Notice that this one actually was deployed against a client, right? But this was outbound. It's not supposed to be outbound. Somebody was messing with something. But anyways, the point is that we take this set of information, including Active Directory information, including integrating things like ATA, advanced threat analytics that allows us to look at Active Directory and look for things like golden ticket, patch the hash, and we take this information and we munge it together. Now, I'll do a deep dive demo a little bit further in a little bit. If you want to come and check this out a little bit later. I do, however, want to pivot to a backup demo or a site recovery demo. How many people saw my backup and site recovery demo earlier? Okay. So, first thing I want to point out, creating backups off an Azure VM is a single click, right? That's what we described a little bit earlier. That's cool. I can take my backup service, the cloud-based service, with local backup as well. I can back up Linux. I can back up directly from VMware. I could back up directly from Hyper-V, from Windows, physical. We don't care, okay? But one of the things that I wanted to show you guys, which is pretty cool, I have a VM here that's running in Azure, and I've backed it up. So I went into this particular backup environment. I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to select a restore point. Now, mind you, I have no agent in this machine. I do not have admin access to this machine. I inserted this through the VM extension, and I now have all the snapshots that give me access. I downloaded this little script. So if I were to do this, it'd dump off. Oh, shoot, because I already have it. I would need to refresh. What this does, when I refresh this, I already have this set up. So literally what it does is it runs that script. We create an iSCSI target of that VM in a VHD in the cloud. I then run the iSCSI endpoint on your Windows machine and connect that on your local device to that machine sitting in Azure storage. Now, on my local machine, I can browse that like a local disk. I don't have access to that machine. I can restore any file that I need off of it. That's cool, right? I think that's cool. All right. Last thing I want to show you, we're running out of time, is some of my site recovery stuff. Let me get in here. Where do I have this? Automation. Let me get out of here. So I'm going to go into my recovery services vault. So in my recovery services vault, what I'm going to show you here is that inside recovery, I have a set of site recovery objects. When I have a site recovery object, when I go out and protect this, I can say, hey, where do I want to back this up? I can do site to site. As I was saying, actually, I don't remember if that was this session or last. No, they're all blending together in my head. I can do VMware to VMware. I can do Hyper-V to Hyper-V. I can also do any of those in kind of a 3-tier and then up to Azure. But what it allows me to do is then I take at that level and I start to replicate those VMs. From there, I get application and crash consistent snapshots. I do have to put usually a local configuration server on-prem. It's a dumb server. It's a VM that I need in order to make sure that I can get the data out, right? And it gives me a little bit of cache and a little bit of buffer so that I don't impact your VMs, right, with this replication stuff, right? I have another VM that takes the load that I need in order to get this thing up to Azure. I would run through this. I would select, okay, I need VMware. I go out and grab a source. For those of you that saw me do that earlier, you'll notice that I don't have a VMware environment that I am connected to right now. But I would finish this. I would say, hey, what's my target? How do I want to configure this? If I were to come back out of here, you could see that I could look at, for example, the replicated items that I have out here. So I can see that I have a particular set of VMs. You'll notice that it's in this really weird state called waiting for user input. And I'll show you what that means here in a little bit. But I can also go down and look at my recovery plans. So I have this line of business app. And when I have this line of business app, I can, whoops, sorry, let me back up. Went to the wrong thing here. What the heck? Sorry, guys. Hold on just a second. Here we go. So I can see here that inside, I've actually initiated what's called a test failover. And so a test failover is this thing that I've fired off, I've completed the replication, I've built an automation script that essentially says, I have a set of steps that are automation. Oh, look at this, we're back to PowerShell, right? We're back to automation that I built again. We're back to DSC. Starting to see why automation is the glue for all this stuff. I tell it the order that I want things to start. I could create a new order. You can see in this case, I'm going to tell you this one's going to fail, right? Because I'm starting my front end and my back end at the same time. I could literally go up to the top. I don't have this right now because I'm in the middle of the test. I could show you this later at the Ask the Experts if you'd like to see it. When I author one of these recovery plans, I could set another start job that says, hey, wait until all these are completed, put this machine in the next step, automate these set of post steps. But when we replicate this in a test failover and we try this, we put it in an isolated Azure network, which means you can bring this up and run any tests you need to do, QA, oh wow, run any updates that you want to run at it, look at it from a monitoring perspective to make sure that those updates work. The other thing that you can say is now when you go to your change management meeting, have you run a disaster recovery plan on this? For the first time ever in your life, you can answer truthfully, yes, right? That's the end of my demos for today. I was pretty close on time, actually. Sorry I had to rush it a little bit. I'll answer your question. I do just want to call out here, because I know we're running out of time and they're going to stop the recording. I know they want to. And then I will take questions. Right now, in wherever that is, Hall D1, we can go get alcohol and food. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is I'm going to take this mic off. I'm going to pack my stuff up. If you've got questions, let's go there. Sound good? All right, thank you for your time.